Hey everybody, Pete Holland here. I am the head writer at Wine Access, and I want to talk to you about one of my very favorite Napa Valley red wines, the one I've got in my glass right now. That is the Palazzo Right Bank. It's a Merlot and Cabernet Franc blend from Scott Palazzo. Um, I want to mention that when I send out an offer like this with my name on it, this is not something that anyone has compelled me to do at work. This is something I do when I see a wine on the calendar and I raise my hand and I say, I want to talk about that wine. I want to put my name on it because it's a wine that's special to me or a wine that I have history with. And that is the kind of wine that Palazzo is. I've got a long history with Scott Palazzo. I met him in Nashville, Tennessee. I was in charge of the wine program at the Hermitage Hotel in downtown Nashville. I had a packed wine room. I had a full wine list, but when Scott poured me his wine, I said, "Yeah, we gotta have that. It's great." And from then on, even when customers wanted to, in many cases, spend more on a Napa Valley Cabernet, I would sell them the Palazzo, and they would be thrilled, with no exceptions, really. It's a fantastic wine, so good, in fact, that the next restaurant I went to in Nashville, they didn't have it. I brought it on, and surprise, surprise, everybody loved it there. It's that kind of wine. Early in the pandemic, things were crazy. I texted one of our wine team members and I said, "Hey, do you know Scott Palazzo? Has anyone reached out to him? Let's see if this guy's got something." And he did. And maybe we've offered 5 or 6 wines in the last 3 years, and they've all been sellouts. They're all fantastic, and everybody loves them. We've done the white wine, we've done the Cabernet Franc, but the Red Bank is really the flagship. And I want to talk a little bit about Scott's vision because now it seems like people are talking about, Coombsville Cabernet and things from Southern Napa that have a little bit more elegance and a little less of that kind of bruising power that characterizes cult Cabernets. Well, also right now, people are talking about Napa Valley Cabernet Franc, how great the variety does in Napa Valley. Well, I mean, Scott Palazzo was making Napa Valley Cabernet Franc 20 years ago and has been since. He's been making elegant red wines in Southern Napa Valley for 20 years. He gets his fruit from Carneros. Most people think of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir when they think of Carneros, but that cooler part of Napa Valley has, provides Merlot and Cabernet Franc with the kind of elegance that Scott's going for in his Bordeaux-inspired wines. So the man had a vision. He started with a vision and he stuck to it, and it's like now everybody's starting to appreciate these kinds of wines, and there's Palazzo with his 20 vintages behind him, saying this is what I've been doing all along. Cabernet Franc is huge for him because Thomas Keller from the French Laundry asked him about, what was it, '03 or '04 vintage, asked him to make a varietal Cabernet Franc to pour by the glass at the French Laundry. So as you can imagine, that was a pretty big boost to his career. And he's been thriving ever since. It also helped that Robert Parker fell in love with his wines, actually invited him to go back to Maryland to do kind of a retrospective tasting of Palazzo wines, which is huge as well. But back to the 2018, Scott talks about, making '03 and '04, but an '05, that fantastic vintage, that really gave Scott what the materials to make what he said was in his heart. It was a great vintage that allowed him to fulfill his vision. And he said the same thing about 2018. As you know, there was a great vintage in Napa Valley, and he holds back his wine. So this is his current release, if I'm not mistaken. And 5 years after the vintage, it's drinking beautifully. It's just, it's fantastic. I mean, the blend of dark and red fruit, silky texture, really bright acidity. Scott prides himself on the fact that sommeliers are in love with his wines. Go to his website, take a look at the restaurants that have carried Palazzo wines. It would be easier to list restaurants that don't have Palazzo wines than those that do. And that's a real point of pride for him. And you taste it. I mean, it's a fantastic food wine. Of course, it's great on its own because it has this very, no rough edges, very silky, seamless texture, but a great kind of acidic lift at the end, and the kind of thing that would be great, great with all kinds of food. So 2018, let me show you the bottle here. 2018 Palazzo Proprietary red wine, one of my favorite Napa Valley wines, and it's one that you should buy. What can I say? Enjoy.